For centuries, ordinary mortals have wondered if paranormal phenomena appeared from fabrications or if there really are spirits from the beyond to haunt us. One thing is certain so-called paranormal phenomena remain unexplained, even today. Do ghosts really haunt the hallways? Can the dead reappear years later? Expect not to sleep after watching these 10 mysterious mystery stories. 10 terrifying and unexplained stories that will send shivers down your spine. Welcome to Greyharan. 1. A demon in the hospital. The photo above was taken by a hospital surveillance camera monitor, where a patient can be seen, in his room, lying on his bed. But we also see a strange and disturbing form, standing on the bed. The patient would then have died a few hours after the appearance of this form. A nurse, present on the scene, saw the images and then swore that the form was walking up and down, on the bed. Some people say that hospitals are the favorite haunt of paranormal creatures, like demons. They would be there to wait for the death of the patients in order to drag them to hell. 2. The strange story of Elisa Lam. A strange story happened to Elisa Lam, 21 years old at the time. The latter was found dead, her body floating in the mini water tower located on the roofs of the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, a hotel with a gloomy reputation for years. It also inspired season 5 of American Horror Story, Hotel. Elisa was found a few days after her death, as hotel guests complained about the weird taste of the water. You surprise me, but that is not the most mysterious. His body was indeed found without any trace of mutilation or drugs, and the lid of the water tower was closed, as if it had never been opened. The place was impossible to access, protected by an alarm, a very heavy door, and the tank was surrounded by very high walls. So difficult to access that the police had to send several men to open the door and take the body out. So how did Elisa Lam end up in this place? The video below, recovered by the police, shows the girl in an elevator, a few minutes before her death. But why does she have this attitude? Schizophrenic tendencies or someone lurking in the hallway? We'll never know. 3. The Ghost of Amityville. On November 13, 1974, Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. murdered 6 members of his family in cold blood. Father Ronald Sr., 43, Mother Louise, 42, and their 3 other children, Allison, 13 years old, Mark, 12 years old, and John Matthew, 9 years old. The tragedy took place at the now famous 112 Ocean Avenue, in Amityville, Long Island, in the east of New York State. A year later, the Lutz family bought the house, because of its low price. But George and Kathy Lutz only lived there for 28 days, following a series of paranormal events. A suicidal dog, half-heads of demons appeared in places around the house, cloven hoof prints in the snow, levitating objects. Ed and Lorraine Warren, a church-recognized Society for Psychical Research of New England couple, they're the heroes of the Conjuring movies, visited the house to find out the phenomenon, at the request of the judge who wanted to rule on the mental state of Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr., who cried out in the grip of the demon. As soon as they arrived in the Devil's House, they felt a very dark atmosphere there. While Lorraine, the medium, tried to get in touch with the spirits of the haunted house, a member of the team would have fainted and 2 others reportedly had serious heart palpitations. The photo above was taken by a friend of the Lutz family, and the Warrens claimed that this photo was paranormal, because there were no children in the house. Moreover, the resemblance to a DeFeo son is very striking. This story is, to date, one of the most mysterious and publicized paranormal stories in the world, with the case of the haunted house of Enfield, England, solved by the Warrens. 4. A poltergeist among the Hodgsons, the Enfield case, in England. Between 1977 and 1979, the Hodgson family was allegedly the victim of a poltergeist in their house in the district of Enfield, England. Objects moved and sometimes even remained in levitation, with, in addition, strange noises. But the most bizarre remains when the youngest of 11 years, Janet, was awakened several times, in levitation, shouting with a demonic voice. It would have been inhabited by a demon who claimed to be the former owner of the house, dead on the ground floor, in his armchair. Despite the help of the police and experts, this phenomenon remains unexplained to this day, although the Warrens, who came to the aid of the family, claimed that a demon had imprisoned the soul of the former owner, preventing him from passing into the afterlife. 5. The Ghost Child. In 1946, Mrs. Andrews went to a cemetery in Queensland, Australia, to lay a wreath at the grave of her daughter, who died at the age of 17. She then took a photograph of the tombstone before realizing a mysterious apparition. After the development of the photo, a child appeared on the picture, while Mrs. Andrews claimed that he was not there when her photo was taken. A mystery, especially when we know that at this place many children are buried there. Experts could not explain this phenomenon. 6. Freddy Jackson's ghost. In 1919, Freddy Jackson was an aeronautical mechanic in the Royal Air Force before he died following a violent blow received by an airplane propeller. After his sad passing, a photo of the squadron was taken to keep the memory of this camaraderie alive. But a strange silhouette has slipped into the photo, that of Freddy Jackson, who died 2 days earlier. The entire squad immediately recognized the face of their former comrade. Many testimonies attest that everyone was surprised by this appearance. This man, who worked at the triage center, who had gone on leave and who was dead, appeared in the top row. We all recognized it. 7. Myrtles Plantation Ghosts. This plantation, located in Louisiana, has long been considered the most haunted place in the United States. Legend says that 10 murders happened in the old main house, and since then 12 ghosts are said to haunt the walls. The most famous would be that of Chloe, who often appears with a green turban. The latter would have been the slave of Mark and Sarah Woodruff, the former owners. Surprised by Sarah for having listened to a private conversation, Chloe had her ear cut off, as a punishment. In revenge, Chloe allegedly baked a cake made from poisonous plants to poison her torturers, but her plan backfired. Indeed, Sarah and her daughters died after eating a slice of the cake, but not Mark, the father. She was hanged by the other slaves and her body thrown into the Mississippi. She would still haunt the plantation to this day. '8. The strange Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The history of this sanatorium is rather macabre. In the 1940s, this place was a hospital that treated patients with tuberculosis. But the treatments reserved for the patients were more than doubtful. Between 5,000 and 8,000 patients would have died and only 5% of the patients would have survived. The methods used were not really recommendable and the patients were subjected to more than questionable treatments. In addition, they had to pay their own costs of repatriation home as well as the price of the coffin when they normally came for treatment. The bodies were often thrown into a hole, then removed from the building through a tunnel. Many say that the spirit of the patients still wanders the halls. The most terrifying story concerns nurse Mary Lee, who contracted the disease and was found hanging in her room, room 502. Her body was said to have remained hanging for a day without being removed, in full view of all the residents. The photo above is Mary Lee in ghostly form, endlessly haunting the walls of the hospital. '9. The Faces of the SS Watertown. It is one of the most mysterious photographs in the world. Two faces appeared in the foam of the sea, those of two sailors who died before. In December 1984, an oil tanker named the SS Watertown lost two mechanics on board. These two sailors had to clean the tanks of the boat in order to ensure their operation. But a toxic smoke asphyxiated the two men. A short ceremony in their honor was held before the crew sent the bodies to sea. The next day, when the day was going normally, several sailors ran to warn the captain of a supernatural phenomenon. The faces of the two disappeared appeared in the foam of the sea. The photograph above was taken to keep the proof of this phenomenon. This photo has, to date, no rational explanation. 10. The Strange Passenger. In 1959, as Mabel and Jim Chinnery were returning from the cemetery after visiting Madam's late mother, a strange thing happened. After taking a picture of her mother's grave, Mabel took a picture of her husband, sitting alone in the passenger seat of the family car, to finish her film. But after developing the photo, a ghostly form appeared, sitting in the back of the car, standing straight with a livid look. Mabel showed the photograph to friends who instinctively recognized Mabel's mother. Mabel was overwhelmed by this testimony and remembered that the place occupied in the car was the place where her mother used to sit. The latter had sworn that she would be always present even from beyond, in all tests. Experts have attested to the authenticity of the photograph, and the couple have since claimed that it was a sign of a presence from beyond. This is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment and subscribe.